True desire begins long before emotion declares itself and far before action seeks expression. It is first experienced as an inner recognition, subtle yet steady, arising from the deeper layers of the psyche. When this desire is present, it does not rush or demand confirmation. Instead, it settles quietly, creating a sense of rightness that feels internal rather than imposed. You notice that your thoughts become clearer in the presence of the other, not louder. There is less inner conflict, less need to impress or justify yourself. This is because the psyche senses alignment, not excitement alone. Such desire is not born from loneliness or fantasy, but from an unconscious acknowledgement that something meaningful is being mirrored back to you. You feel less divided within yourself, as if scattered parts of your inner life begin to organize around a calm center. This is why true desire feels grounding rather than destabilizing. It invites self-awareness instead of escape. You are drawn not to what the other promises, but to how you are reminded of your own depth. This form of desire does not consume energy unnecessarily. It refines it. It brings attention inward, encouraging reflection, honesty, and presence. When desire is psychological at its core, it strengthens identity instead of dissolving it, allowing connection to emerge from wholeness rather than lack. As this inner recognition deepens, desire naturally extends into emotion, but it does so with balance and clarity. Feelings arise not as overwhelming waves, but as consistent currents that shape behavior over time. You begin to value the emotional reality of the other without trying to control or define it. There is curiosity without intrusion, care without possession. This desire does not seek constant reassurance because it is rooted in understanding rather than fear. You sense that the connection has meaning beyond immediate gratification, and this meaning brings patience. Emotional responses become thoughtful, and reactions soften into responses. You are able to remain present even in moments of uncertainty because the desire itself feels trustworthy. It does not push you away from yourself, nor does it demand that the other become a solution to unresolved inner conflicts. Instead, it supports growth by revealing where awareness is needed. This is why such desire endures challenges without dramatization. It remains engaged, reflective, and conscious. When desire emerges from the psychological core, emotion becomes an expression of insight rather than impulse. In this way, connection matures into something stable and alive, capable of depth without losing balance, and intimacy without losing individuality. When two people truly desire each other, the second key sign reveals itself through emotional attunement that operates beneath deliberate thought. This attunement is not based on constant communication or overt expression, but on a quiet sensitivity to the inner state of the other. You begin to notice shifts in mood, energy, and presence without actively searching for them. This awareness does not feel intrusive or anxious. It feels natural, as though attention flows without effort. Emotional attunement arises when desire is rooted in respect rather than possession. You do not attempt to control what the other feels, nor do you interpret every silence as distance. Instead, you allow emotional space to exist without threat. This creates a bond where honesty becomes possible because there is no urgency to perform or defend. You listen not only to words, but to pauses, tone, and emotional rhythm. In doing so, you recognize that the other person is not an extension of your needs, but a complete inner world deserving care. True desire sharpens empathy without weakening boundaries. You remain yourself while being deeply receptive. This balance allows emotional connection to deepen without becoming overwhelming. The psyche responds to this safety by opening further, strengthening desire through trust rather than intensity. As emotional attunement develops, it begins to influence how both individuals respond to difficulty and uncertainty. Instead of reacting impulsively, there is a tendency toward reflection. You pause before speaking, not out of fear, but out of consideration. You sense when reassurance is needed and when silence is more respectful. This discernment is a product of desire that values understanding over control. Emotional attunement allows conflict to be approached without the urge to win or withdraw. You're able to remain present even when emotions are complex, because the connection itself feels stable. This stability does not mean the absence of tension, but the absence of threat. Desire expressed through attunement does not demand emotional perfection. It allows vulnerability without exploitation and strength without emotional distance. Over time, this creates a rhythm of mutual responsiveness where both feel emotionally recognized. Such desire is sustained not by dramatic expression but by consistent awareness. It grows deeper because it is nourished by patience, empathy, and psychological maturity. In this way, emotional attunement becomes both a sign and a result of true mutual desire, quietly reinforcing connection through conscious presence rather than force. When desire is genuine and shared, the third sign emerges as a quiet alignment toward growth rather than attachment. You notice that the presence of the other does not pull you away from your inner responsibilities, but gently calls you back to them. There is a subtle encouragement to become more honest with yourself, more aware of your patterns, and more willing to face what was previously avoided. This desire does not distract you from your path. It clarifies it. You feel supported in becoming whole rather than being reshaped to fit expectation. The connection does not revolve around constant reassurance or emotional intensity, but around a shared respect for inner development. You sense that being together does not mean standing still. Each person remains accountable to their own evolution, yet the bond itself becomes a place where growth is welcomed rather than threatened. True desire reveals itself here because it does not fear change. It understands that inner movement is necessary for psychological balance. Instead of clinging to how things were, both individuals allow the connection to mature naturally. This creates a sense of quiet confidence, where the future is not anxiously planned, but inwardly trusted. Desire rooted in growth feels stable because it is aligned with the natural movement of the psyche toward integration. As this shared inner direction becomes clearer, desire expresses itself through mutual respect for individuality. You do not feel compelled to merge identities or sacrifice personal truth to maintain closeness. Instead, there is an understanding that connection deepens when two complete inner worlds meet without dominance or submission. You allow differences to exist without interpreting them as distance. The other person's independence does not weaken desire. It strengthens it by removing fear of loss. You recognize that wanting each other does not require control, and closeness does not require sameness. This form of desire carries a quiet dignity. It does not seek validation through possession or constant presence. It is sustained by trust in the inner bond rather than external proof. Over time, this shared direction becomes a silent agreement to walk alongside each other without obstructing growth. Desire remains alive because it is not confined to comfort. It is nourished by mutual becoming, by the sense that the connection supports depth, meaning, and psychological balance. When two people truly desire each other in this way, it feels less like holding on and more like moving forward together, aware, grounded, and inwardly aligned. When true desire exists between two people, the fourth sign appears as a shared sense of meaning that does not rely heavily on explanation. You begin to understand each other beyond words, not because communication stops, but because it becomes less strained. Conversations feel natural, Yet even in silence there is connection. You do not experience silence as absence, but as presence. This is because meaning is being exchanged at a deeper psychological level. Gestures, timing, and emotional tone carry significance without being analyzed. You feel that what matters most does not need to be constantly spoken. This desire is not fueled by dramatic declarations or repeated assurances, but by the quiet certainty that something real is unfolding. You recognize that the other understands what is important to you, even when you struggle to articulate it. This creates a sense of inner relief, as if you no longer have to translate your inner life into acceptable language. Meaning is felt rather than negotiated. True desire thrives here because it does not depend on performance. It rests in mutual awareness, where both sense that the connection has substance beyond surface interaction. The psyche responds strongly to meaning, and when it is present, desire becomes stable and inwardly convincing rather than emotionally restless. As this shared meaning deepens, it begins to shape how both individuals experience time and attention together. Moments feel significant without being intense, and ordinary interactions carry quiet depth. You notice that you remember not just what was said, but how it felt to be together. This emotional imprint remains long after the interaction ends, suggesting that the connection has touched something enduring within you. Desire expressed through meaning does not seek constant stimulation. It values depth over novelty and presence over display. You feel no pressure to fill every moment with activity or explanation. Instead, there is trust that what exists between you is alive, even in stillness. This allows both people to relax into authenticity. You become less concerned with being impressive and more interested in being real. Meaning creates continuity, allowing desire to persist even during distance or uncertainty. It is sustained by shared understanding rather than constant contact. When desire is rooted in meaning, it becomes resilient. It does not fade when circumstances change because it is anchored in inner recognition. This is why such desire feels deep inside rather than on the surface. It quietly affirms itself through understanding, leaving a lasting sense of connection that feels both calm and profoundly alive. The fifth sign of true mutual desire reveals itself through authentic presence. When desire is genuine, you notice that both individuals are able to be fully present without effort or distraction. Attention is not scattered, nor is it forced. You are not constantly monitoring how you are perceived or worrying about how the connection is progressing. Instead, awareness settles naturally into the moment. This presence is not dramatic or intense, it is steady and grounding. You feel that the other is truly there with you, not only physically, but psychologically. There is a sense of being met rather than merely accompanied. This kind of presence allows honesty to surface without fear. You speak from what is real rather than what is expected. Desire deepens here because the psyche responds to authenticity more strongly than to perfection. When two people can remain present without performance, the connection becomes a place of psychological rest. You do not feel the need to escape yourself or the moment. Presence creates safety, and safety allows desire to move from surface attraction into something enduring and meaningful. As authentic presence continues, it subtly transforms how both individuals relate to time and interaction. You notice that moments together feel complete, even when they are brief. There is no urgency to extend them artificially or to rush them toward a particular outcome. This absence of pressure strengthens desire rather than weakening it. You trust that connection does not need to be constantly proven to remain real. Authentic presence also allows discomfort to exist without immediate resolution. You can sit with uncertainty or difference without withdrawing or demanding change. This patience reflects psychological maturity and deep respect. Desire expressed through presence does not attempt to control the future or rewrite the past. It stays with what is unfolding now. Over time, this builds a quiet intimacy where closeness is measured not by intensity, but by depth of attention. You feel valued not for what you provide, but for who you are when you are simply present. In this space, desire becomes less about wanting more and more about appreciating what already exists. It remains alive because it is nourished by awareness, sincerity, and the willingness to remain fully engaged without losing oneself. The sixth sign of true mutual desire appears as a calm intensity that does not rely on urgency or excess emotion. When desire is deeply felt, it does not create restlessness or anxiety. Instead, it brings a focused awareness that feels steady and contained. You notice that your interest in the other is consistent rather than fluctuating with mood or circumstance. There is no inner pressure to rush outcomes or demand certainty. This calm intensity allows desire to exist without overwhelming the psyche. You feel emotionally engaged, yet inwardly composed. This balance suggests that desire is rooted in depth rather than impulse. It does not seek constant stimulation or reassurance. Instead, it remains quietly present, influencing thought and attention without disrupting inner stability. You recognize that wanting the other does not mean losing control over yourself. This form of desire strengthens self-regulation and clarity. It allows space for reflection and discernment. The psyche experiences this as trustworthy because it does not threaten inner balance. Calm intensity indicates that desire has passed beyond surface attraction and entered a more integrated state, where emotion and awareness work together rather than against each other. As this calm intensity continues, it shapes behavior in subtle but meaningful ways. You become more intentional in your actions, choosing words and responses with care rather than impulse. You are attentive without being intrusive, expressive without being overwhelming. This creates a rhythm of interaction that feels natural and sustainable. Desire expressed in this way respects both individuals' emotional capacity. It does not demand constant availability or emotional display. Instead, it allows closeness to grow gradually. You feel confident that the connection does not require constant reinforcement to remain alive. This steadiness supports trust. As both individuals sense that the desire is not fragile, it can withstand pauses, distance, and uncertainty without collapsing. Calm intensity also encourages honesty because there is no fear that truth will disrupt the bond. You trust that what exists is strong enough to remain intact. Over time, this form of desire becomes deeply reassuring. It does not burn out quickly because it is not fueled by excess. It endures because it is balanced, conscious, and grounded in psychological awareness. When desire feels calm yet alive, it signals depth, maturity, and genuine mutual connection. The seventh sign of true mutual desire is revealed through the way both individuals naturally support each other's inner growth. This support does not appear as advice, pressure, or correction, but as a quiet encouragement to become more aware and authentic. You notice that being connected to the other brings greater clarity about yourself. Patterns that once went unnoticed become visible, not because they are pointed out, but because the relationship itself reflects them. Desire deepens when the connection invites self-understanding rather than escape. You feel motivated to act with integrity, not out of fear of loss, but out of respect for what the bond represents. This form of desire does not seek to keep the other unchanged for comfort. Instead, it allows evolution to occur naturally. There is an unspoken agreement that growth is not a threat to connection, but its foundation. You do not feel diminished by the other's development, nor do you compete with it. The psyche responds positively to relationships that honor growth, and desire strengthens because it is aligned with inner movement rather than resistance. As mutual growth continues, desire expresses itself through patience and trust in the process of becoming. You allow the other to change without demanding immediate understanding or certainty. Differences are approached with curiosity rather than fear. This creates a dynamic where learning replaces control. Desire rooted in growth does not attempt to freeze the relationship at a particular stage. It understands that inner life is always in motion. You begin to appreciate not only who the other is now, but who they are becoming. This appreciation extends inward as well, fostering self-respect and responsibility. Over time, the connection feels less like an attachment and more like a shared journey. Desire remains alive because it is nourished by meaning, not dependency. It becomes a steady presence that accompanies change rather than resisting it. When two people truly desire each other in this way, the bond feels expansive rather than restrictive. It supports depth, reflection, and transformation, allowing both individuals to move forward without losing connection to themselves or each other. The eighth sign of true mutual desire is felt as an alignment between inner awareness and outward connection. You notice that the relationship does not pull you away from yourself, but brings you closer to who you truly are. Thoughts, emotions, and values begin to move in the same direction rather than in conflict. There is less inner tension about how to act or what to express. Desire becomes a source of coherence, not confusion. You feel internally consistent when thinking about the other, as if the connection fits naturally within your psychological structure. This alignment creates a sense of ease that cannot be forced or imitated. You do not need to justify the connection to yourself or others. It simply feels internally true. Desire rooted in alignment does not rely on fantasy or idealization. You see the other clearly, including limitations, and still feel drawn toward them. This realism strengthens desire because it is grounded in awareness rather than illusion. The psyche recognizes authenticity, and when alignment is present, desire feels stable and trustworthy. As this inner and outer alignment deepens, it influences how you make choices and relate to the world. The connection supports your values rather than conflicting with them. You do not feel compelled to abandon principles or suppress truth to maintain closeness. Instead, desire reinforces integrity. Actions become more deliberate, and decisions feel more unified. You sense that the relationship supports your psychological balance rather than destabilizing it. This creates a quiet confidence that extends beyond the connection itself. Desire no longer feels like a separate force acting upon you, but like an integrated part of your inner life. It informs behavior without dominating it. Over time, this alignment allows desire to endure without strain. It does not require constant reinforcement because it is internally supported. When two people truly desire each other in this way, the bond feels grounded, conscious, and deeply real. It becomes a source of inner stability rather than emotional turbulence, confirming that the connection is not only felt deeply, but lived truthfully. The ninth sign of true mutual desire appears as a quiet sense of commitment that forms without explicit promises or pressure. This commitment is not based on obligation or fear of loss, but on an inner decision that feels natural and unforced. You notice that your attention remains oriented toward the connection even when alternatives or distractions are present. Desire here is not possessive, yet it is selective. You choose the other repeatedly, not because you must, but because it feels internally aligned. This choice is experienced as steadiness rather than intensity. You are willing to invest time, thought, and emotional energy without resentment. Commitment emerges as a psychological orientation, a readiness to remain engaged even when circumstances are imperfect. This does not mean tolerating harm or imbalance, but recognizing that meaningful connection requires patience. Desire matures when it includes responsibility. You feel accountable to the bond, not in a restrictive sense, but as an expression of respect for what has meaning. The psyche experiences this as grounding, because commitment brings structure to emotion without suppressing it. As this quiet commitment deepens, it shapes how both individuals respond to challenge and uncertainty. You are less inclined to withdraw at the first sign of discomfort. Instead, there is a willingness to stay present and explore what is occurring beneath the surface. Desire expressed through commitment does not dramatize conflict or idealize harmony. It accepts that tension is part of psychological closeness. You approach difficulties with reflection rather than avoidance, because the connection feels worth understanding. This steadiness creates trust, as both sense that desire is not fragile or conditional. It can withstand disagreement without dissolving. Over time, this commitment allows the bond to become a stable inner reference point. You feel supported by the connection rather than dependent on it. Desire remains alive because it is supported by choice and awareness rather than impulse alone. When two people truly desire each other in this way, commitment does not feel like a burden. It feels like a natural extension of meaning, quietly affirming that the connection is not temporary emotion, but a consciously held part of inner life. The 10th sign of true mutual desire is expressed through a shared sense of psychological safety, where both individuals feel free to reveal themselves without fear of judgment or rejection. This safety is not created through control or insistence on reassurance, but through a consistent presence that communicates acceptance. You notice that you can show vulnerability without anticipating exploitation or dismissal. There is a feeling that the other holds space for your inner life, allowing thoughts, emotions, and experiences to exist without interruption or correction. Desire thrives in this environment because it is nourished by trust rather than uncertainty. You do not need to perform, pretend, or conceal aspects of yourself to maintain connection. Instead, authenticity is welcomed, and this creates a resonance that strengthens the bond. The psyche recognizes safety as essential for sustained desire, because without it, connection becomes tentative, restless, or shallow. In this way, true mutual desire is inseparable from the sense that both can be fully present as themselves. As this shared psychological safety deepens, it begins to influence how both individuals respond to tension, disagreement, or misunderstanding. Challenges are met with curiosity rather than defensiveness, and differences are explored rather than avoided. You feel capable of expressing concerns, uncertainties, and even discomforts, knowing that the connection is resilient enough to hold them. Desire expressed through safety does not demand perfection, nor does it require constant harmony. It allows both to encounter and integrate shadow aspects without destabilizing the bond. Over time, this cultivates a sense of enduring trust that goes beyond external circumstances. You become aware that your connection is strong not because it is free of difficulty, but because both individuals have cultivated an environment in which honesty and vulnerability are safe. This safety reinforces desire because it supports growth, authenticity, and mutual understanding. When two people truly desire each other in this way, connection feels secure, alive, and deeply satisfying, anchored in the confidence that both can engage fully, without pretense and without fear of losing themselves or each other. The 11th sign of true mutual desire emerges as a natural resonance of